Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 17. This is what Jesus said to the religious people. He said, don't misunderstand why I have come. I did not come to abolish the law of Moses or the writings of the prophets. No, 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 no. I have come to accomplish their purpose. He said that to the religious people because they thought, oh, you've come to just ignore the laws of the land. You've come to just get rid of that. And Jesus says, no, I've not come to get rid of that. I just want to show y'all where y'all missing it. I want to show y'all the gaps that y'all are ignoring. I want to show you what these laws are meant to do. I've come to fulfill the purpose of the laws. Watch what else he said. Watch this. Watch this. He says this in Luke chapter 11, verses 37 through 44 and then 46. Watch this. As Jesus was speaking, one of the Pharisees invited him for a meal. A religious person. That's a Pharisee for those who may not know. The Pharisees were the Pharisees and Sadducees were the religious elite as well as the Essenes. And so Jesus was speaking and one of these religious people invited him home for a meal. So he went in and he took his place at the table. His host was amazed to see that he sat down to eat without first performing the hand washing ceremony required by Jewish custom. Then the Lord said to him, you Pharisees are so careful to clean the outside of the cup and the dish, but inside you are filthy. That's what he said to them. He says, you're full of greed and wickedness. He's saying this to religious folks. Watch what Jesus says next. And I love this part because there's an exclamation point on this word. He said, fools! Exclamation point. Now, I don't know if you paid attention in the English class, but the exclamation point meant something, right? The period ended something, right? The question mark inquired about something, but the exclamation point was like, oh, this means something. And Jesus, in this moment, calling these religious people fools. You fools, you ignoramus. Okay, I added that, but you get it. He said, didn't God make the inside as well as the outside? So clean the inside by giving gifts to the poor and you will be clean all over. He doesn't stop there. He says, what sorrow awaits you, Pharisees? Exclamation point. He mean that. For you are careful to tithe even the tiniest income from your herb gardens, but you ignore justice and the love of God. Yeah, you should tithe, yes, but don't neglect the more important things. He says it to him again. What sorrow awaits you, Pharisees? For you love to sit in the seats of honor in the synagogues and receive respectful greetings as you walk in the marketplace. Yes, what sorrow awaits you. For you are like hidden graves in a field. People walk over them without knowing the corruption they are stepping on. Jesus was going in. Jesus was not holding back. And here's the crazy part. It's at that man's dinner table. Y'all forgot that part, right? He went to his house, sat at his table, and he's reading him. Yes, said Jesus, what sorrow also awaits you, experts in religious law. For you crush people with unbearable religious demands, and you never lift a finger to ease the burden. Woo! You want to know how Jesus felt about people being treated unjustly? Read the Bible. I mean, Jesus is like, you set all of these rules and you set all of these laws that people must follow, but you are making it difficult for them to follow them. Y'all want to hear what else Jesus said? Now, this is what Paul says. This is Paul quoting what Jesus said to Pharisees before. He said this, Galatians chapter 5, verse 14. For the whole law, the entire law can be summed up in this one command. Love your neighbor as yourself. The whole law. Now, let me break that down for you because I know some of y'all looking like, okay, we've heard that before. Can I tell you what the whole law is? The whole law means out of 613 commands, plus, watch this, thousands of laws that the Jews themselves created to make sure that they didn't break the commands can all be summed up. All 613 laws plus the thousands of additional laws all summed up into one thing. Love your neighbor as yourself. period. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Love your neighbor. Thou shalt not covet. Thou shalt not greed. Thou shalt 613 commands all sum up into one particular most important command that the church in America has missed. Love your neighbor as yourself. And if I look at the geographical area of my neighbor, Canada is my neighbor. Mexico is my neighbor. All the surrounding areas are my neighbor. Why am I selective about who my neighbor is? Love your neighbor as yourself. What does it mean to love your neighbor as yourself? If I have, you have. If I've got freedom, you've got freedom. If I have money, you have money. If I have health care, you have health care. If I got a job, you got a job. I love my neighbor as myself because what I have, you ought to have. And if you don't have, I'm going to make sure I do what I can to make sure you have it. That's what loving your neighbor as yourself really means. It's not lip service. Oh, I love my neighbor. Hey, neighbor. Love you. What's up, neighbor? Love you. Love you. Hey, neighbor, I love you. Thank you so much for building my house. But when you're done, you need to get back over in Mexico. Hey, neighbor, thank you so much for watching my kids. But when you're done, you need to get back in India. Thank you for being a good nanny to my children. But when you're done nannying my babies, you need to go back to where you belong. It's not being a good neighbor. It's being a hypocrite because we're doing it in the name of Christ. Okay, here's another neighbor. Ooh, I gotta ease into this one, Buffy, because some people are gonna get sensitive when I say this because they come from this kind of thing. Ready? Here's a loving your neighbor piece. I want y'all to give to the pastor so the pastor can be rich, even though you're facing eviction. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to get in trouble right there. Don't worry about that. I know the kids are like, he done moved off the camera. For real. Because that's the other form of bad religion. And I'm going to tell you right now, if it comes to paying your mortgage, paying your rent, paying your health care and tithing, you think God's going to be mad if you don't have health care? You think he's going to be mad? If you think he's going to be mad that you gave instead of taking care of your health? This is God's church. He's going to take care of his church with or without you. I'm being real. I'm not giving you permission not to give. But what I'm saying is the same thing that Paul said to the churches that were giving. He says, I don't want you to give so that it hurts you. Paul said that. That's the word of God from Paul. I don't want you to give so that you're hurt, but I do want you to give if you can, what you can. But there were certain pastors who say, you know what? Your prosperity is tied to your giving. Bring it up to the altar. Just lay it on the altar. Throw it up here if you can't make it. All the way in the balcony. All right, I'm going to stop right there. That's bad religion. I'm going to tell you right now, I need 10 of y'all right now. I need 10 people right now to give me $500. We're going to start there. There's a blessing connected to your giving. If y'all ever hear me preach that, I'm going to just say it like I want to say it. If y'all ever hear me preach that, you have permission to execute me. Don't fire me, just kill me. Because that means I'm possessed. Like there's a bad spirit on me. Because if I say something like that, I am not myself. Come on, somebody. Guess what else Jesus said to them? Matthew 12:33-34. A tree is identified by its fruit. He says, if a tree is good, its fruit will be good. If it's bad, its fruit will be bad. Watch what he says to him. You brood of snakes. Y'all, all y'all think about when y'all see Jesus as that peaceful Jesus. Now, Jesus was like, can I just tell you what? When he said you brood of snakes, biblically, he was cussing. Biblically, he was cussing. In other words, he's like, y'all fill in the blank. He said, how could evil men like you speak what is good and right? For whatever is in your heart determines what you say. In Matthew 23, 27 through 28, he says, what sorrow awaits you, teachers of religious law, and you Pharisees. Watch this. You hypocrites. Hypocrites, the Greek word hypokrites, meaning actors, pretenders. He says, you hypocrites, you actors, you pretenders, you fake people. This is Jesus, exclamation point on there in case you didn't notice. He said, for you are like whitewashed tombs, beautiful on the outside, but filled on the inside with dead people's bones and all sorts of impurity. Outward, you look like righteous people, but inward, your hearts are filled with hypocrisy and lawlessness. Jesus is cussing them out. He is telling them off. Like he is reading them up and down. And these are two separate meetings. You want to know how my Jesus felt about people that were treated unjustly? Here it is. In fact, you want to know how he felt about people who were treated unjustly by religious people? I just shared with you what he said. That's just some of it. We can go deeper in how he flipped tables and literally braided a whip and was whipping people. I bet you he was using words with every time he swung. I whip you, whip, tap, 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 whip, tap. Every swing he had a word. Come, y'all know what I'm talking about. Let's talk about what we ought to do. All right. How do we combat bad religion? All right, 3 things and I'm done because that's what they tell me I've got to do in seminary, right? They say you got in the homiletics class, homiletics, the art of preaching, they say you got to give 3 points at least. So I got 3 points. I want to honor my professors and give 3 points for y'all today. Ready? Point number 1 is simply this. Radical religion encourages and not ignores. Radical religion encourages, not ignores. Oftentimes, religious people ignore. We don't encourage. We don't feel like we can say a prayer. We don't feel like we can give an offering to people who need it. We oftentimes ignore instead of encourage. I'm not going to read it, but on your own, I want you to read John chapter 4, verses 1 through 26. In case you're wondering, that's the story of the woman at the well. And the woman at the well, here's what's going on. In the middle of the day in Samaria, she's filling up pails of water to take back to the village. It's not customary to fill up pails of water in the middle of the day. Normally, you would go in the morning where everybody gathers, but she did it in the middle of the day to hide her shame. Now, we don't know exactly all of the details of what was going on in her world, but what we do know is that what she did was not customary. But her timing couldn't have been more perfect because Jesus, the Jew, was going on his way to Galilee. Now, to get from Judea or Jerusalem to Galilee, you have to go through, watch this, Samaria. Now, that walk is normally, if you go straight from Judea through Samaria to Galilee, that normally takes about 2 to 3 days. It's a 70-mile walk. But the Jewish people despised the Samaritans so much that they went an alternate route, which added an additional 20 to 30 miles or an additional 2 to 3 days. So in other words, what should take a 2 to 3 day trip became a 5 to 7 day trip because they couldn't stand the Samaritans. Instead of encouraging them, they ignored them. How could they encourage them? Why did they not like the Samaritans? Well, simply because of this. 1, they worshiped differently. They worshiped differently. They were considered unclean because, watch this, ready? This is really good. It's going to be really familiar. Because they were mixed race. They oppose mixing the races. Seemed like something like that happened in this country at some point in time in history. They opposed it radically, mixing of the race. And because I don't agree with mixed race stuff and you worship in a different way, guess what? I'm going to do everything I can to ignore you when I have an opportunity to encourage you. And some of us, don't look at me like that. We do the same thing. We ignore opportunities, watch this, to speak truth to power instead of encouraging it. Okay, let me give you an example. Some of y'all have coworkers that ask you about black issues, but you don't want to talk about it because watch this, you sick and tired of trying to explain your blackness to people who don't have the same melanin as you. So instead of encouraging them, you do what? Ignore them. Or you talk about them behind their back. You call them racist or racially insensitive when you have the opportunity to encourage them. And perhaps instead of putting up a wall, you can actually build a bridge. Now, I know it's trying for us, and I know it takes a lot of energy and work for us to always have to explain the beautiful melanin that God blessed us with. I understand that. But beloved, here it is. God has blessed us time and time again with the opportunity, here it is, to build a bridge and not a wall. And every time we ignore instead of encourage, we build a wall instead of a bridge. Last thing right now, some of y'all will, I know it, but nonetheless, she has an organization that's intentionally designed for our brothers and sisters who may not have melanin to ask real questions and understand our experience, because I think the more that they understand it, the more that they can help others extend it. And at some point they can understand that, yeah, we are still suffering through some stuff. And they'll stop saying, get over it. Because civil rights was just 60 years ago. Like just 60 years ago, you couldn't drink from a water fountain wherever you wanted to drink from a water fountain. 60 years ago, women couldn't vote. 60 years ago, certain black people couldn't vote. Just 60 years ago. Some of y'all are older than that right now and lived through that. And we can't build the bridge. We can't fix what's broken until we begin to have those conversations, even if we're tired. And I'll tell you, I am very tired. Now, either I can be tired or I can do something about my fatigue and help be a bridge builder. Number two. I'm not going to stay too long there. Number 2, radical religion builds bridges and not walls. Oh, I just talked about that. Radical religion builds bridges and not walls. Watch this. That's what Jesus did. Like, for instance, here's a story. I'm not going to read it because I'm short on time, but I want you to read Luke chapter 19, verses 1 through 10. Here's what happens. There's this guy who is the chief tax collector in this area. His name was Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus was a chief tax collector in the area. In other words, you had tax collectors who were considered worse than sinners. Then you had chief tax collectors. They didn't even give them an identity. They were even worse than the worst of the sinners. Zacchaeus was a chief tax collector. He was hated. He was despised. I mean, if they could kill him, they would kill him. But he had the security of the Roman government protecting him. Jesus is in the crowd. He's walking by. Zacchaeus wants to see with his very own eyes Jesus of Nazareth, Jesus, the miracle worker and the way maker. So what does Zacchaeus do? He climbs up a tree. Jesus is walking by, doesn't even make eye contact with him. He says, Zacchaeus, come down from the tree. Watch what Jesus says. I must have dinner with you. Not Zacchaeus, hey, can I come over for a meal? Not Zacchaeus, hey, you mind if I stop by with my crew and you get a little sandwich or something like that? He said, Zacchaeus, I must. It is a requirement. In fact, I'm burdened to have dinner with you. Everybody else hates you. The Jewish people can't stand you. The Romans don't trust you. But because you are who you are, I must. It is imperative. In fact, I can't move further unless you and I have dinner. What was Jesus doing there was making a bridge for even those that the people despise to have access to goodness. He built the bridge. He built the bridge. You know what else he did that? He did this as well. Y'all know he fed 5,000 people, right? Y'all heard about that? The fish and the bread? Maybe you didn't. So there's a story in the Bible where Jesus was preaching and he fed 5,000 people. They counted just the men and the women, and eventually they included the kids. That was just 5,000 men that he fed, right? They were all in the Jewish area. But there was another time where Jesus was preaching. He preached for 3 days, nonstop. That's some preaching. But here's the good news, because y'all looking at your clock already. This is a good point where I can point that out. And nobody left. He preached for 3 days and they stuck around. Nobody left. They're like, this is some good preaching. I wish I could do that, Rev Kev. They looking at the clock and I ain't been preaching 30 minutes yet. And because these people stuck around for 3 days, Jesus says, we've got to feed them. Y'all know who those people were? They were Gentiles. He built the bridge. If I can do for Jewish people who are like me, I'm one of them. I could also do for Gentiles who are not like me, but I love them. He built the bridge. All right, number 3, y'all, I'm losing you. Radical religion prioritizes love. Radical religion prioritizes love. Now, let me tell you something about love, right? I can love you, but I ain't got to like you. That's the truth. And there are people that I love because I have to love, but I don't like. Oh, I got some claps from the young people. They got some issues in school, I guess. I don't know, but they're like, I love you, but I don't like you. There are people that I indeed love, but I don't like. I don't like their behavior. I don't like how they think about me. I don't like what they think about me or people like me. There are people that I love, but I don't like. And the thing is, he didn't say we had to like them to love them, but he did say we had to love them. That's what Jesus says here. Luke chapter 23:34. Jesus said this from the cross. Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they are doing. And the soldiers gambled for his clothes by throwing dice. You mean to tell me you on the cross and these people done spat on you, they've lied on you, they've betrayed you, your own followers, some of them. Some of your followers are now hiding. Didn't stand up. You know, one moment Peter was dope. Like, get your hands off my Jesus, slice your ear off. The next minute, Jesus on the cross, and Peter like he's one of his followers. No, I don't know that man. And Jesus is on the cross having to deal with betrayal from everybody. There's nobody supporting him in this moment. He's got to think about the person that literally nailed his wrists to that cross. He's got to think about the person who had the opportunity to liberate and free him, but chose not to. He's got to think about those who were spitting at him as he was carrying that cross up the hill. He's got to think about those who put that crown of thorns on his head. They didn't do it lightly. They shoved it on his head, according to the Bible. He's got to think about those when he said he was thirsty, gave him sour wine to drink. Nothing that really clenched his palate. He's got to think about all of this hurt, all of this hate, all of this pain, and has the audacity and unmitigated gall to say, Father, forgive them. Woo, that couldn't have been me. Father, kill all of them. Start with that one right there. And then when you're done with them, go to their neighbor. And when you're done with them, go to the back. Kill their family, smite them all. Start with those that you said were snakes. That's why I'm not Jesus. I'm trying to be Christ-like. But we have to do that. I never forget seeing one of the most horrific events during my lifetime happen when at a Bible study at an AME church in South Carolina, Black people gathered to unpack and share the word of God with one another in fellowship. Some young white boy decided that this is the day I'm going to kill these people just because they're Black. And he did. Sat through a whole meeting where they talked about the word of God. Sat there for more than an hour listening in a church to the word of God, and his whole intention was to kill everybody except for one. He wanted to go down in history. He wanted to be known as somebody who committed such a crime. Kill everybody except one, because I want the one to tell everybody what I did and why I did it. He wanted to start a race war. But here's where it gets interesting. When I saw that, I said, put me in a room with him for 5 minutes. When he's done, he gonna look like me, because I'm gonna beat him that much. I'm not Jesus. And this is not that time. But then the news comes on. Family members, after this event happened, look right into the camera and say, we forgive him and we're praying for him. Man, I wish I was that holy. I'm being real. They modeled in that moment before the nation, before all eyes who tuned in to that news report, what Jesus expects and what Jesus did. Now that's deep, right? Okay, let me go shallow for y'all. Some of y'all ain't forgive your cousin for something that happened a few years ago. Some of y'all were ignoring people's phone calls because here it is, you loaned them $20 and they ain't gave you back your little $20. It's funny, but it's true. Some of y'all haven't forgiven that person that dumped you in high school. Some of y'all have not forgiven that person that bullied you when you were in elementary school or at camp or whatever. Some of y'all, that's deep right there, to forgive somebody who literally killed somebody in your family. But some of y'all are struggling with just to forgive, watch this, your spouse for leaving his socks on the floor. Forgive your child for having one bad grade. Forgive your mama or your daddy for missing a ceremony or performance or a sporting event. Y'all are struggling with that small stuff. No wonder you can't forgive people who literally stand up and say, I can't stand people of color. I can't stand women. And the reason why you can't deal with those big issues because you're struggling with little issues that you made a big deal and they're not. Next week, I'm going to help you with this because we're going to talk about what radical forgiveness looks like. And it's not easy, but I want to help you with that next week. But for now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about Jesus. Man, how did he deal with the religious people that he opposed so much? In the very end, we see what he did. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do.